All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Safely Extreme podcast here on Game Wisdom, where we the art and science of games. I am Josh Bycer, and joining me, my co-host from soon to be not Nexus Games, Sharky.
Yeah, that is the new company name, not Nexus Games.
There you go. Just put a not where the logo is, and you'll be set.
Yeah, that is exactly what that's the new name of the company. We decided not Nexus Games. No, just kidding. We're still working on that.
All right, but we are still working on wrapping up our series looking at the secrets or not so secrets of game dev success. This is going to be part 6, maybe 7. If we count the previous parts that kind of led to our topic. And for this one, we're going to be wrapping up with community management and kind of just engaging with your audience. This is a topic that we've talked about in passing on many different episodes in the past, but this is either the first or second time we're really dedicating an entire episode to it.
And it's definitely an important one because this both affects you before, during, and after development. So this is a continuous kind of thing, and a lot of people don't even think about this until after, if at all.
Yep.
And that's definitely not what you want.
It's one of those. This is again one of those kind of quote unquote busy work elements when it comes to game dev for a lot of developers. You know, why should I be on Twitter or Discord or whatever all day long when I should be building my game? But it intersects with a lot of the kind of, I guess, soft skills that we've talked about in the past. You know, engagement, PR, social media, and whatnot. And it is one of those aspects that I think it's becoming more and more important. Like, I think it's always been important for developers, but I think people are realizing just how important it is now.
Yeah. I mean, you know, everybody in a small studio wears many hats kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And usually...
Uh-oh. I think we lost Shark again. Uh-oh. As soon as he said usually, he got cut. Oh. Will Shark come back? Well, this could be a very short cast.
Okay, maybe that's it.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
So you said usually and then it just cut.
When you have a small studio, everybody in the team usually wears multiple hats. And when you have such a case, usually the community management person is also the person who's doing marketing and PR.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of similarities between the two jobs, but they are distinctly different jobs. And both are very, very important. Both are actually, you know, I mean, they have a very, I wouldn't say very small. They have a small amount of stuff that affects the game in a big way, but the game itself, but like outside the game, they have a very big portion of whether the game succeeds or not. And, you know, they need to be in from day one, if not before, to after.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very, very key people that you absolutely need on your team if you want to succeed.
And especially if you want to succeed long term. Mm-hmm. Because we've seen developers who they may show up, you know, like a groundhog, you know, once a year, maybe see its shadow, and then they go back to making games for another 2 to 3 years. And you never hear, see, or even know that they exist. And that's not what community management, community engagement is today. And what we've seen, especially for developers who are trying to build a brand, build themselves as more than just, whatever their game is, you need to have somebody who can engage with your community on, whatever social media channels that you use.
Yeah. And community management is something so easily completely screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've seen this many times when you have a bad community manager or you outsource to, like moderators and stuff like that, which you pretty much have to. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to get the right moderators. You have to get the right people to oversee stuff like that. Because when they're the wrong people, it is
Mm-hmm.
it's going to ruin your everything. It's going to ruin everything. Because like I've seen so many cases where, they've, you um got, Discord mods or whatever, YouTube mods, Twitch mods, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, kind of thing. And they rule probably harder than the Nazis actually did. They're like, you know, you know, I'm issuing you a ban, and and you seemingly didn't do anything wrong, and then you ask them, what did I do wrong, kind of thing, and then they give you a ban for asking
Mm-hmm.
what happened.
And then there's the other side when they're too lax or they don't do anything, and then your community has no real focal point, and there's just no way to get in touch with people. It's just, I think I've seen this from a lot of developers too, that they leave community management only to their fans. That they don't have an official Steam forum or official Discord channel. They may have a Twitter. It's all ran by their fans as the unofficial channel. And
Or sometimes they make it an official channel and then they just give it to the fans.
yeah. And while again, that is engaging with your fan base, it's very short lived. It's very much that, fire and forget. Here's a Discord, here are the fans, I'm gone, that's about it. And you don't, or you can't run your community like that, because you need to have people engaging with them. And when you don't do that, it again leads into that situation where most people don't know who you are, even less they even know how to contact you. And there is, I think, some, hey Boney, there's definitely some positives about being hard to contact, for developers who don't want to get, troll messages or, targets of harassment, etc., like that. But again, this takes us back to one of our major points. If you can't, don't, or aren't willing to do community management on your own, then you must hire somebody or have somebody on your team to do it.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing is you're really not going to be super subject to, the harassment and all this other stuff unless you legitimately do stuff wrong. I mean, it will come eventually, but, eventually is when you get famous enough. You're going to have and at that point, you're going to have tons of people who support you. And then a few toxic people that you can just hit the ban button on and never talk to them again,
Yeah. But
And it's not this overwhelming, I'm being attacked constantly kind of thing. And it's I've I think never had that actually at all on my Discord kind of thing. I've had people attack my Discord, but they've never come in there and done anything with that. They've never attacked me. They just, attacked the Discord with bots and spam and stuff like that. They've never came after me.
Yeah. I mean, the vocal minority is a real thing, whether it's on a Discord, Twitter, Steam forum, whatever. And unfortunately, you are going to have to deal with it to some extent as a developer. It will
Yeah.
always happen no matter how big or how small, but it is something you have to be
Well, I wouldn't
aware of.
say no matter how small. I mean, you can have a community size of one, and if that
Mm-hmm.
one is not the vocal minority, actually he'd be the vocal majority at that point because he'd be
Mm-hmm.
the only one.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it is going to become a factor, especially if you are trying
Eventually.
to build yourself up as a company. For developers, again, who aren't interested in kind of the business side of game development, most likely this is something you're not going to care about, you don't have to worry about, because you're not really thinking about community management. But, again, for studios who become brands onto themselves, it is going to become a factor eventually. And excuse me, this is why you need to have somebody in your corner who gets this role. And unfortunately, just hiring your fans as moderators isn't enough, I think.
Yeah. I mean, number one, you need to curate and select your mods and everything very, very carefully, and don't be afraid to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's not working out as a moderator, do not let them be moderator. You know, do not roll over your community with an iron fist, because if you do, then your community is not going to like you. And do not, completely neglect your community either. You need to have that proper amount.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go too much, don't go too little. Go right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Don't go for the really hard bed and don't go for the really soft bed. Go for the one that's just right.
Mm-hmm. And you need, again, to have a what's what I'm thinking of? Not a forum. You need to have a marketplace, I guess, in a way, for people to, show their appreciation for you, sending you fan letters, fan art, just talking to you. And this is how you build up that rapport with your community. And again, it's one of the reasons why we've said in the past that good community management, or just community management in general, is very much a double edged sword. When it works, your fans become your evangelicals. They're going to reach out, they're going to let people know about your game. They want to see you succeed. When you do something wrong, or if you go to the dark side, they're going to be the first ones to, string you up. The angry mob coming with pitchforks and torches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely do not want to breed a army of angry mob.
Yep, and unfortunately, we've seen this happen many times. Probably one of the more recent examples will be the whole Five Nights at Freddy's fallout. When
I hadn't heard about that one.
what was it?
I hadn't heard about that one.
That Scott Cawthon, they reveal that he's been donating to many anti-LGBTQ plus people and organizations, and his audience is made up of a lot of people in the LGBTQ plus community.
Hmm. So he's donating to fight against his own community.
Yep, and it basically drove him out of making any more Five Nights at Freddy's games.
Hmm.
Yep, and
R.I.P.
mm, yep,
They love you.
RIP FNAF. And again, this is kind of like the extreme examples. Excuse me, my allergies are killing me this week. The extreme examples of, the positives and negatives of communities. That they will support you till the cows come home, until you either betray them or they feel that you've betrayed them. And then all hell breaks loose.
And they can feel you betrayed them with very next to nothing.
Yep. And again, this is why it's important to have somebody who gets what it means to deal with a community. Not ruling with an iron fist, not just disappearing for 8 months out of the year, never responding, but somebody who is there, who can engage with the community, who can prop up the good actors, who can swat down the bad ones, and again, make sure that your community represents what you want your company to be.
Yeah. And here's another aspect is, even if you have if you're hiring out a community manager or something, somebody else on the team is doing it, whatever it is, that does not mean that you yourself can completely excuse yourself from the community. You still need to be there at least periodically, at least at minimum once a month, to show that you yourself are part of that community.
Yeah.
I would prefer to see at least once a week, but once a month would kind of be the minimum, because if you're not there for once a month kind of thing, then the community could ride on you too there, because they're like, well, they hired the community manager, but the developer doesn't give a damn about me, so I'm going to riot.
Yeah.
And that can cause a whole big storm right there. So make sure that even if you are hiring somebody, you go in there, you don't have to do any community management or anything like that. Just go in there and talk, have conversations with people,
Yeah.
And don't say anything stupid in the process.
Yeah. And another thing that I see developers do again is that fire and forget strategy, that they'll set up the Discord, they'll set up a Steam forum or Twitter, and then nothing. They wash their hands of it, or again, they may do it once every 2 to 3 months. And that is not how you build an active community. There's a game that I'm playing right now, Get in the Car Loser, from the developer of Analog, A Hate Story, and stuff like that. I think their name is Christina Love. And on the very first message on their Steam forum, it says, developers are not monitoring these forums. So if you have any problems or any issues, you have to send them an email, because nobody is actually checking their Steam forum for their game. And that is a major no-no. Whether you're...
A lot of that stems from Steam itself. Because when I'm sitting there trying to monitor it, but like no messages are coming in, so I obviously cannot just sit there and well, I could sit there and waste my time and go check it every day and look for nothing, but it's a real pain in the butt. You can click a box after a topic's been started to follow that topic, and then Steam will notify you when somebody posts there through email or other means kind of thing. But the thing is when it's your own game, you can't just say notify me for this whole entire forum. You have to wait until somebody starts a topic, and then you have to you have to go and click a box on it on every single one. So somebody could start a new topic, you could be completely unaware of it because Steam didn't say anything to you, and then you just if you're not going back and checking it kind of thing, then you just completely lose out on that. And that is a big downfall of Steam, and something I am very not happy with Steam about. And something you have to be very careful of, because like I was sitting there monitoring, everything else, with a fine-tooth comb, but not Steam, because I figured Steam was going to actually notify me if somebody actually posted, but they don't.
Yeah.
And that's a big red flag for Steam.
Yeah. And again, this is why you need to have a way that's easy for people to reach out to you. And this is something we talk about in the Inquiries show, where you want to have at minimum 2 to 3 social media contacts. One of those, of course, being Discord, and then Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But you need to have ways that people can easily get in touch with you. You don't want to bury your email link or bury it, somewhere on a random page on your website and then wonder why people aren't engaging with you.
Yep.
Now, speaking about Discord, I think that is a good segue. When you talk about why, at least for right now, we are recording this on September 26, 2021. But why, for right now, having a Discord channel and a Discord site or source for your game is crucial for developers.
It's a must-have. Absolutely. Because right now, in the current market, that is expected. It is, and if you do not do it, then you are shooting yourself in the foot. It's also like the best place right now to communicate and connect with your community, because with Twitter, I mean, you can type out, a paragraph or two, or like a half a paragraph or something, couple sentences, and you cannot get full context in that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Twitter goes at the speed of light. So, you're going to reply to somebody
Mm-hmm.
and, people can take it the wrong way very, very easily and get yourself in a lot of trouble. So you got to be very, very careful about that. But when you're talking about Discord kind of thing, you have what, 2,000 characters, so you can really express a point, and it also does not move at the speed of light, so you can just do multiple posts. I mean, you could just type out
Mm-hmm.
something that's like, you know, s- you know, 10,000 characters kind of thing, post, and then like, cut away, 6,000 of them, post, repaste, and then just post it 2,000 characters at a time and get your full point out there all in a row within like a couple seconds kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And not something you can do on Twitter.
And it allows you direct contact in real time with whoever you want to speak to. And that is very big when you're trying to have a conversation. And the fact that it can be installed on phones, websites, computers, whatever, means that it's very easy. And as somebody who has used Skype in the past, I hate Skype. So
Yeah.
getting away from Skype is a win-win in my book.
Yeah. I loved MSN back in the day, and then they killed it and forced you to come over to Skype, and I hated it. And then
Mm-hmm.
the second I could get away from it, I did.
Yep.
But the other side of that is it's very easy for community members to talk to each other, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and just casually, you can't do that on Twitter. I mean, fans can talk to each other on there, but they can just do, these short little things with no context kind of thing. And like,
Mm-hmm.
Discord is a great place to post memes and joke around with each other and whatnot. You joke around with each other and post memes on Twitter, you're probably going to get in deep, deep trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But you can actually have people that are enjoying themselves, having fun without the toxicity or anything else. Again, something you'll run into on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all around a the best place to have your community at. And not only that, but when you get people in your Discord kind of thing, that is, I wouldn't say equivalent, but that is very similar to what a wish list would be on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
So, I won't say the things are one to one kind of thing, but I would say that there is potential. And
Mm-hmm.
mind you, this is potential. This isn't fact or anything. There is potential that the Discord could be more effective than the wish list.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also potential to go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
It's it all depends on the community and how it's ran and all this kinds of stuff. So it depends. Ask a lawyer. But like, there's potential that is better than a wish list on Steam. So why would you not run a
Mm-hmm.
Discord community?
Yep. And like Shark said, it is a great way to kind of centralize your community. Now, keep in mind, of course, that for every social media, every content, I'm going to get up for a second and try and stop that glare. But for every social media avenue that you have that you're monitoring, you need to have somebody who's going to do that for you or do it yourself. So you want to be careful not to stretch yourself too thin. But in the same vein, you also need to give people enough ways and enough means that they can get in touch with you and ask questions. Yeah, and when you're trying to keep things going like this, unfortunately, I think for a lot of developers, this isn't, something that you can stop. That, you build your community, you get your popular Twitter, your Discord, your game is released, and you're done. No.
Nope.
This is something that it becomes as much a part of running your studio as really developing your games and working with your employees.
Yeah, and the great thing about having your own Discord channel and everything, it's a great place to pull, playtesters from.
Mm-hmm.
You can. It's a lot easier to get playtesters from your own Discord. It's still not easy. But getting playtesters is still very, very hard, but it's a lot easier the bigger the Discord community you have. And
Mm-hmm.
it's great for that. And playtesters are so hard to get. So, again, another reason why to have that. And it's you have to be careful though that you don't get into an echo chamber with your Discord though when it comes to feedback
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot, because you know if you get a whole lot of, let's say, get good masochist players like Josh kind of thing, then and you're making a insanely hard game, then you can very easily get into that echo chamber kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And you also want to make sure that if people have issues with your game, if they have legitimate gripes and complaints, that your fans aren't shutting that down.
Yeah.
And this again gets back to that topic of, ruling with an iron fist. That anything negative will be, stamped out and you will be banned. Only positive feedback. And
Yeah, and that's extremely bad.
yeah, you need to establish, you know, what's the word I want to use? I guess a culture of your communities. Like if you say people that criticism is okay, but profanity and stuff like that is wrong, that's perfectly fine. But you need to establish rules because if you don't do that, then
And
people
they need to
don't.
be very clear
Yeah,
rules.
and I have rules on my Discord channel. I say that no spamming, no politics, religion. No vitriol attacks. And if something comes up that I didn't realize, I make a new rule. It's just that simple. And
Hmm.
most likely, especially if you don't have a background community management or just dealing with people like this, you're not going to get everything right on your first try. And that is perfectly fine. But the important thing is that if a problem comes up, you need to stamp it out ASAP.
Yep. Just don't put any nonsensical rules on there. Like no mowing your yard on Wednesday while it is a full sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put any rules like that. Don't put any rules like like there's just I've seen so many nonsensical rules. My mind's blanking on recalling any of them on the discords, but there's been some discords I've been in where there's been some complete nonsense rules. Like, why is that a rule?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like there was a there was one rule that was like you can't post multiple things in a row.
Mm. Yeah.
So like if if you were to, say something, that was a complete and solid point kind of thing, and then you were to say something else kind of thing, you would get in trouble.
Mm.
They want you to, even if it's like 2 hours later, they want you to go back and edit your last post.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nonsensical.
Yeah. Sounds like some of the craziness from like Reddit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you want to
Yeah,
get,
you want to avoid that kind of thing.
yeah, you want to have strict rules, or rules that are very much set in stone, but you don't want to do it at the expense of people wanting to engage with you. Like you don't want a rule that you may not you may not post something. You must wait, let's say, 15 minutes between posts, and if you go below that, you will get banned or you'll get a warning. Stuff like that is not really helpful to a community. You don't want your community to feel like they need to walk on eggshells lest they'll be banned from the forum or from the Discord and so on.
Yeah, and you also want to encourage people to communicate with each other, as well as some people have a hard rule about no self promotion kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like the no self promotion rule is one of those things that steps over that line. I think you need to have a special channel for it, kind of thing, and allow people to do it there. Because when you completely squash it, kind of thing, there's just so many issues that come at because of that. Because number one is the bad actors, kind of thing. They're still going to do it, and they're going to do it in channels you don't want them to do it in.
Yep.
And the good actors, kind of thing, when you have that kind of thing, you're stopping yourself from meeting people that could potentially help you in the future, kind of thing. Oh, this cool artist just posted this real cool thing. Man, that's really awesome. I'd like to hire that person.
Yeah.
But you never get to see that art because you said there couldn't be any self promotion. Now, there is a line there where it's where you have blatant self promotion where they just post like a Twitter or a Discord or anything like that, and yeah, absolutely, free to like get rid of that kind of thing, like no, like just blatant stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody's posting the image they have, if they're posting,
The
hey,
game they're
here's
working
a few
on.
screenshots from my game, here's a link to our Discord, that stuff's fine, But if they're just, Discord link, where's the value in that,
Yeah. And again, this is all about setting up your standard or what you want your community to be around. And it is okay for people to post their own stuff. Like there are developers out there, who get incredibly paranoid, that somebody's going to steal their idea or they're going to, poach the people working on their game, and you can't be that way when it comes to game dev.
Community.
Yeah, that's always that very weird thing for me.
Yeah. I've gotten banned from Discords like that.
Yeah.
The whole poaching community thing. Let's just talk about that one first of all. That's not even a thing. It's not a thing. People can buy more than one game. First of all, they're not limited to one game for the rest of their life, and that game has to be yours.
Mm-hmm.
People have Steam libraries of 300, 2,000. This kind of thing. 16. They're not limited to a single game, so they can, go check out other people's games without hurting yours. Number one, they're a member of your Discord, meaning they're interested in what you're doing, meaning that they are likely to get whatever you're making kind of thing. That doesn't stop them from, going and enjoying somebody else's stuff too,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just because Josh is a member of my community and, is calling Neon Continuum always pay to win
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot, and he's going to play it every night on stream after it comes out, right? Just because of that doesn't mean Josh can't play and, other games and whatnot, except for, the fact that he's going to play Neon Continuum every night. Besides that point, it doesn't mean he can't play other games kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, the fact is you can't, if you're afraid of that, you're afraid of the boogeyman essentially, because it doesn't exist. There's not an issue there. Now if you slip up and you cause problems kind of thing, and you cause your community to not like you,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're free to not buy your game. And it doesn't matter if somebody else posted a link, to their Discord or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not interested, if they're not happy with you, they're not interested in your stuff, they're free to not buy it. And it has nothing to do with the self-promotion channel.
Yep.
I mean, they may, you may have given them something they did want to do, because you on top of, taking away what they wanted from you originally. But, that's neither here nor there. It's not hurting you. It's well, it having the self-promotion isn't hurting you.
Yeah.
Not having it will hurt you, though, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yep. I want to mess with my little thing again. I'll be back in 5 seconds.
All right. But yeah, I mean, like, the self-promotion thing it's really integral, I think, to a Discord. You really want to give people a creative outlet. I mean, they could be posting stuff on there that has nothing to do with anything you do. I mean, they could be posting self-promotion of, yeah, hey, I made this cake,
Mm-hmm.
check it out. It's cool. It's decorated. I'm not selling it or anything. I just made it, kind of thing. And it's really cool. And you're making video games. So how is that hurting you? It could be another video game, again, not hurting you. It could be, a song. It could be an art piece. It could be, a sandwich they made,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It could be a meme they made. It could be anything, and like just squashing that creative outlet is a bad thing on its own. But then you're just building this, we don't care about you, we only care about us kind of community when you're doing that, and it's not a good look.
Mm-hmm. It's that, the idea, like, we get into, like, that whole, it's the corporation, like, from cyberpunk or, dystopian novels. The corporation only cares about the corporation, but they want you to care about us. We don't care about you. And that's not how you build a healthy community.
Nope. You can ask EA and Take-Two and Raid Shadow Legends about that, because I'm sure they disagree with that when they they're like, the most healthy community is one you never let anybody say anything except for positive things about you. Sounds like the Nazis, honestly. Because like that is, just ruling very hard of where you can only say positive things about them. It sounds like current Russia too, and China, for that matter.
And this is something that, again, like we spoke, Rami and I, about, with kind of like war games blowing up. That, hey, Smoke, that their community ambassadors or whatever, that the second they would say anything negative or had criticism, wargaming, like, turned the dogs on them and, cut them loose and all that. And again, you don't want your community to feel like they're one step away from being ostracized by anything that they do.
that there's so many communities, sadly, that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been banned from a lot of 'em.
Yeah. And again, we're not talking about, everyone's free to say whatever they want, whenever they want, that
Oh
kind of
no.
thing. But
Oh
what
no,
we're,
absolutely not.
yeah. What we mean,
I'm all for the power of chaos. That's not the power of chaos. That's just chaos.
yeah. You need to establish rules. You need rules that clearly say, okay, we can talk about this, this, and this. You can't talk about this, this, or this. And even if you're a community that, let's say, you forbid talking about puppies. Let's say you hate puppies and kittens for whatever reason, and you do not want that on your Discord or website, whatever. Spell that out. You can't have secret rules. You can't, say, you can't do this, this, or this. But if you also do these 10 things that we're never going to say, we're going to automatically ban you. It's one of those things, it's a thing that I've been told, or, people have said to me before in the past, that you can't holler until you're hurt. You can't ban people preemptively for saying something that you didn't say was a problem. Now, yeah. Like, if you say to people, I don't want you talking about this, this, and this is established in the rules, and if you violate these rules, you're going to be banned, then that is okay. You don't want, again, to just leave it all up and say, there's 10 topics that we're not going to tell you what they are, but if you mention any of them, we're going to ban you we're not even going to tell you why you're being banned. People need to know, why they're doing something wrong. And again, something wrong can mean different things based on your community.
Yeah. And I've seen so many people, like, I was personally banned because I was given feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And you never, ever want to ban people based off of feedback.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if someone is screaming, it's horrible, you're an effing loser, get the hell out of here, you're never going to make anything. Yeah, that's something that if your community is not about, screaming and cursing at people, you need to curtail. But
I mean, we need to make a community about screaming and cursing.
I'm sure there's a lot of them on Discord already and on Reddit.
No. Like one specifically for that, not one about something else that has a lot of that. I mean, just one about that.
Yeah. But again, this is all about why you need to set up rules and, some system of order. Because if you don't do that, then nobody knows what is fair and what isn't, and then we get just complete anarchy.
And also, just because you have a rule that gets broken doesn't mean you should ban them, kind of thing. Because there's rules that can be bent, kind of thing. Like a rule of, post stuff in the appropriate channel. Post, if you're going to be talking about, spoons, post it in the spoons channel. If you're going to be talking about forks, talk about it in the forks channel. If you're going to be talking about knives, talk about it in the knife channel, kind of thing. And then somebody posts something about knives in the spoon channel, and you ban them. No, do not ban somebody over that. Tell them, hey, put that knives in the knife channel, kind of thing, and leave it, and they could break that rule many times as long as they're not just sitting there purposely breaking it. Don't punish them. If they are purposely breaking it, kind of thing, then punish them. But if the intent is not there, if it is just an accident, don't punish nobody for that.
Yeah, like again, there's a difference between somebody doing it by accident and somebody willingly, every time just to stir up trouble, going against your rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, like you gotta be really careful, like Pony says, about double standards and playing favorites and things like that. And this is, again, why it's important, once you start getting serious and start building a community, to have those guidelines. It's not so much, you laying down the law, but you are protecting yourself and you are protecting your community as well. Because in case you do have a bad actor who comes on, you have it set up, to stop that, or to let people know that this will not be tolerated.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the whole goal of
Mm-hmm.
your rules, is stopping bad actors.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to stop good actors. You don't want to prevent good actors from being able to show themselves off. That you don't want, anything. You don't want to affect the good actors in any way except for positively. You
Mm-hmm.
only want to stop bad actors from affecting things negatively. That is the whole goal of running your community.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing if you're rules heavy, kind of thing, and you're squashing the goodness, if you're doing that,
Mm-hmm.
if you're too rules light, you're letting other people, the bad actors, squish the goodness out of there.
Yeah.
You've got to have that just right mentality, and you've got to know what's just right, and that cannot be. You have to, take your biases out of there as much as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is why establishing some kind of decorum, some set of rules, is very important, because if you don't do that, then somebody needs to be monitoring things 24/7. And nobody wants that task of having to monitor a Twitter account or, whatever, every minute of every day of their lives. By having,
Same for them.
yeah, by having those guidelines, you are, again, preemptively stopping these troubles. And if they do show up when you're not available, you can quickly find it and get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a quick time check, we are about 4 or 5 minutes to an hour. I figure at this way, what do you think? Maybe another 10, 15 minutes? You think there's anything major we haven't touched on yet?
Probably. I don't know, but we can just see how it goes. But
Yeah,
probably another 10, 15 minutes.
yeah,
So if anybody has any questions or anything, get them into us
yeah.
soon.
And another thing that we didn't touch on that I will also like to mention, this kind of goes back to what Shar was saying earlier about letting people, express themselves or show their work, is if your community does get to the point that you start getting fandom in the form of fan art, fan music, fan memes, whatever, you definitely want to embrace that.
Oh,
Because,
you not only want to embrace that, you want to advertise that.
yes, exactly. Because this is how you show people that your game is resonating. Whether, like, some good examples, of course, again, would be companies like Kit Fox, Inner Sloth, whoever I forget the name of the Fall Guys developer.
I don't know. But I know every piece of fan art I've ever gotten, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's off of my avatar or off of, one of my games, I have downloaded and saved it to my drive,
Mm-hmm.
on top of, propped up people in the community, and often made it an emote on my Discord server.
Yeah.
So,
Mediatonic is Fall Guys. Yeah, and if people want to start, I've seen people do memes and stuff here that I've saved. And if you guys want to do some memes that we get like a custom, what is it, like those little,
emotes.
yeah, for the channel, let me know. If you guys
I
want to
mean,
make
you can
some,
probably take a few of the ones that you already have and do it.
yeah. But if you guys can make them, emo friendly, so it's not just like a horribly squished image, which I would probably do, feel free to go nuts. But again, the point about this is that if your community is that engaged to make stuff for you, don't ignore it. Don't sweep it on the rug. Don't pretend that it doesn't exist. Because this is really great when it comes to marketing your game.
Even if it pokes fun at you
Mm-hmm.
or does anything else, because I know some of my fan art pokes fun at me and some of it doesn't. But like I laugh at it, if it's poking fun at me for doing something, it's like, yeah, that's pretty funny,
Mm-hmm.
don't take it as an insult. They made it out of love, they love that, funny bit out of you,
Yeah.
and whether you think it's, whether you like it or not, you should embrace it, kind of thing, because they love that part of you, because they sit there and made something for that. They took their time and effort out of the day to make
Mm-hmm.
that, and that really shows that you and whatever nonsense you just did, kind of thing, resonated with them, and they loved you for it, so don't 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 be hard on them if it's not something that you're particularly fond of,
Mm-hmm.
embrace it and
Yep.
realize that they loved you for that.
Mm-hmm. And again, not only does this help to foster a sense of community among your fans, but it is a very effective marketing tool because you can post that GIF or that meme on Twitter, and people can see it, they can enjoy it. It may inspire them to make their own. It may even inspire them to check out your game. And again, the kind of cynical reason why you do community management, community engagement is that you want people to buy your game. You want people to know who you are. And you want to, again, build up that sense of rapport with them. Now, like we said earlier, though, the double edged sword of this is if you just treat it purely as business, that it's purely transactional. I make a game, you are required to make me fan art, or you're required to promote my game. And if you don't engage with your community on good terms, this is again where we see the pitchforks and the torches come out when something goes wrong.
Yep. You definitely do not want to sour your community base. You want to embrace them and make sure they're having a good time, because here's the thing, if they're having a good time when you go to sell your game, you're going to have a good time. If
Mm-hmm.
they're not having a good time when you sell your game, you're not going to have a good time. So you need to make this Discord and all your community management as fun as possible, kind of thing, which
Mm-hmm.
is hard. That does not mean that you have to go in there and tell jokes every day. You could, but it means that you need to make it in a place where people can legitimately call, home in a lot of sense of the word, kind of thing, and that they're comfortable there. They can, fairly freely speak, not like completely freely speak. I mean, Discord has its rules, you have your rules, kind of thing. But they can, you're not so clamped down on them that they have to be like, can I say this? Let me go look. Let me go check the rules, kind of thing.
Yeah, like if your rules are strict enough that people need to double and triple check everything they say, that's probably a step too far.
That's probably about 5 or 10
Yeah.
steps too far.
Mm-hmm. And again, when this works, it can not only help your studio, but can also help the mental health of the developers to know that there's people out there who really want to support them, who really want to see them succeed. Now,
Hmm.
again, though, you do have to, as we've said before, you want to avoid the echo chamber. You don't want it to just be everything is positive all the time, and you how dare you say something mean or supposedly mean about a game.
Yeah, you want. I think you want to really much embrace your community to call you out on anything and everything,
Mm-hmm.
because when you do, your community keeps you accountable. At least as long as you breed the right kind of community, you get that kind of response to where they'll keep you, responsible. They'll keep you on track. And I'm very much depending on my community for that because, like, I'm making a free to play game that is aiming to be consumer friendly. So
Mm-hmm.
I take stuff to them and I put it in front of them, and I'm like, "What do you guys think about this?" And
Mm-hmm.
some of them, some things I put in front of them, they're like, "Yeah, that's perfectly fine," kind of thing. And other things that's like that's horrible. Don't do that. And
Yeah.
then they'll stop and listen, and I'll explain my thinking behind it, kind of thing. And then they'll either continue, no, that's horrible, get rid of it, or oh, that's the reason. Yeah, why not do that? But you probably should put some kind of phrasing in there or something, change that around.
Yeah. And you want to be able to keep things open like that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Talked about Discord, we talked about Twitter, we talked about fandom. Mm, I would say another point, I think, very quickly. If your game doesn't blow up, if your game is not the next Among Us or the next Fall Guys or Fortnite or whatever, that doesn't mean that your community is a waste. Like, if you have a community of 20 people, of 5 people, of 3 people, don't just, throw them out or just ignore them. That if you have people, I remember this was something that the streamer like Grand Pooh Bear was saying about how he streams, that if he can entertain at least 3 people watching for an hour, that means that he managed to give 3 hours of entertainment. Don't view community management again as this zero sum. If I don't have 10,000 followers on Instagram, or I don't even know that's a big number, I only use Instagram or whatever, that, my community is a waste. They're beneath me. I don't need them. You want to foster any group of people who want to see you succeed, because you never know where this leads, and you never know when your game does blow up or if it starts bringing in more people, what that all entails. Again, when I started the Game Wisdom Discord channel, there was like 3 people in there. And right now we have a whole lot more people. I hope more of them engage, but again, we tend to be very lax in terms of discussions there. But the idea is that don't view it as, I only have 10 people, it's a failure. I don't want to ever do community management ever again.
Yeah, it's going to be 10 people because, I mean, you can't just, go from 0 to a million like that. It's going to be that way. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first started my community kind of thing, it was after I had streamed on Twitch, streamed game development and games on Twitch for 3 years kind of thing. And I had built up a follower base of like 500 and before like everything just flatlined kind of thing because Twitch and when it was flatlining kind of thing, I started my own Discord kind of thing, and I got I think it was roughly 20 to 40 people from the 3 years that I'd built up, So 20 to 30 of the like 500 that had followed me came over to the Discord kind of thing. And that's where like, I mean, I was already doing game dev at that point, I was streaming game dev, but that's kind of where we started for the next game, Chromasia, and, slowly built up over time. And, it seemed like I was at 50 forever, and then all of a sudden I got to 100, and then it seemed like I was at 100 for a while, and then all of a sudden I got up to 120, and then it's like 130. It's been like almost like steady growth after that, very slow growth, but like it seemed like it came in burst almost. And like it's still a small community. I don't know how many is in there right now. I wish there was an easy way to find out, but I think it's about 140,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. but like it's still a ridiculously small community, you know.
Yeah.
But like I love that community. They keep me in check. They're, you know, a lot of them are good friends, you know,
Hmm.
or not a lot of them, but you know, several of them, you know, that are vocal are good friends. You know, they talk to me. You know, a few of them come to my monthly dev chats where we, you know, get to play the
Hmm.
game, and you know, there's several of them I talk about and talk to in private, you know, through DMs and whatnot, and really good friends. And you know, I dearly love and value my community with all my heart. You know, they are, you know, one of the things that keeps me going, kind of thing. Like you know, the fact that you know that they keep on coming back and everything, you know, just really, you know, says I really need to get this game done. You know,
Yeah. Um, and again, look, it's a it's a process. You're not going to be going from 0 to 20 million subscribers. Right now, I'm at 7906 on YouTube, and that did not happen overnight. Likewise on Medium, I just hit 3,000 followers on Medium, and I was like sub. Thank you, Dogo's comment there. Like I was sub 100 followers on Medium for like 2 years, and then one of my articles got picked up, and people started following me, and now I'm getting like 20 to 30 new followers on Medium like almost daily. And again, it's about keeping at it. Oh, I think that's one point that we didn't mention yet that I think we should probably end on. Keeping things updated, keeping people knowing as to what you're doing. Because consistency, and this is something that I've had to learn, I think it's everything that anyone who's done content creation has to learn. Consistency is king. That you want people to not only know what you're doing, but what is coming next. They should never, if you are working on a product or working on a game, you never want them to be confused as to what's going on. And what that means, of course, is you need to establish again some semblance of a structure as to when you're putting out new content, when you're alerting people. Because the worst thing for community management and engagement, beyond just ruling with an iron fist, is just completely disappearing into the ether. People should not be confused about what you're doing. Because if they're confused, then they're going to start to wonder, are you even working on this game? Are you even caring about this community? And unfortunately, a big example of this came from the developer of World of Horror. World of Horror is a game that I played. I love this game. I think it has so much potential. And the developer has basically gone AWOL for the better part of, I think, a year, maybe 2 years at this point. Now, the story, or at least from what I've heard, is that some very personal things have happened behind the scenes and it's keeping him from working on the game. But again, if you are working on a commercial product, if people want to give you money and they want to support you, they need to know what's going on. Now, do you tell them everything that's happened? No. But if something is stopping
you could.
yeah, but it's not required. Like, you don't need to break down, if your marriage is falling apart. You don't need to give everyone the details of your divorce. You still need to tell them that something is happening. Something is stopping me. Something is preventing me from doing this. Because you want people to be able to then say, like, let's say someone does come in and say, what the hell is this developer doing? They cut and run, they're horrible people. You want your fans to then say, no, they have this situation. They've spelled it out here. We know that they are working on this. Again, you want to keep things as crystal clear as possible. And I think that's kind of like the MO for our topic for this week. That everything that you do, from your rules to your community to updating people, you want it to be as transparent as possible. Because again, the nightmare scenario is that everyone just doesn't know what you're doing. They think everything is fine, or you haven't done a single update in 3 years. And yeah, that is a huge no-no. Again, you shouldn't be Groundhog the developer. You need to make things consistent in terms of your messaging.
What if you run Groundhog Studios though?
Yeah? Then you better hire someone who's a little bit more of a gopher there.
So they're your gopher?
Yep. And this is the thing, like, I look on the forum for World of Horror, and like the first like 5 or 6 messages are people saying, is this game dead? The developer couldn't run. Where is this game? And to Algodo's comment there, this can all be mitigated with a single forum post, with a single news update. And it's unfortunate. Again, nobody wants to be in that position where they have a great game, they have a community, and they say, well, something is wrong and I can't do anything for the next 2 years. But if that happens, and again, this is the advantages of building a healthy community about establishing decorum like this. If something bad happens, your fan base can support you. They can be willing to help you. The Battle Brothers developer, that they've had issues where there were controversies and people wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and they couldn't do that. And they spelled out very plainly, again, this is what we're working on. These are the things that we would like to get done. But if we can't do this, then we don't have a game. Like, this is priority number 1. And their audience understood that. Again, will there be people who will come in who don't understand or are going to cause trouble? Yes.
Yeah, but I've seen some really stupid ones. Like, somebody reviewed 7 Days to Die on Steam. They had I think 1,400 hours in the game. And they were like, the devs are working on, this update rather than the electricity update. And the electricity update is what I want, but they're working on this first kind of thing. And because of that, I'm negatively reviewing this game. It's a crap game.
Yeah, don't you love that when people think that, developer can work on 27 things at the same time, or that if they work on X, they're not working on Y?
Well, I mean, the reason why they were not working on it is because they need to lay the groundwork for it through the other system that they had to work on first.
Yeah.
You can't, when the electricity system works off of certain mechanics and everything, and those mechanics are not in the game, and those mechanics are tied to another system kind of thing. You need to get that other system in there and those mechanics in there before you get to put the electricity in there.
And this again is why communication is king. That if somebody does complain, if somebody yells and screams, your fans or yourself can point right to this comment or to this news piece saying, this is exactly why we're doing this. And if they're still engaging in being a bad actor at that point, then you do have the grounds to ban them or punish them. But again, it's because you've established this information prior. Now again, if somebody comes on and says, where is this thing? It's their first time on there. You won't immediately say, oh, we pose it here. How dare you? You're banned. No.
Yeah.
But again, it's all about establishing what is happening. You want your community to feel engaged. You want them to be as updated about your game as you can. And again, this is why you don't go months or even weeks, I would say, without some kind of news piece. Would you say at least once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks being the minimum?
For what?
In terms of updating people, posting news updates, a comment on Twitter or whatever.
Well, I mean, like, every social media has its own rule kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're talking about, like, Discord kind of thing, you probably want to do something on there daily, if
Mm-hmm.
not more often than daily. On Twitter, once a week is fine, probably less than once a week is fine for it too,
Mm-hmm.
for that matter. When you're talking about like Facebook, kind of same rules as Twitter. Like it all depends on the platform, but like and what the community expects from you on that platform. It also determines on what is your main platforms as well, kind of thing. Like if Discord's your main platform, you want to be more active there.
Mm-hmm.
But like it all depends, kind of thing. Ask a lawyer,
Yep.
essentially.
Yep. And to Pony's comment to Allura's follow up. Yep. And this is again another part of community management, keeping people updated, having a roadmap, having again some point or some place where people know what is happening. They know that you are working on X, Y, and Z, or that you are preparing an update here. This is again one that as another again we've went over our time here, but it's another really good example from Clay Entertainment. Clay not only really supports their fandom and they welcome all the fan art, fan music, memes, whatever that people make for their games, but in every one of their titles when they're on early access, they have that very impressive or that very lovely timer that lets you know exactly when their next update is coming out. You
Yeah,
are never confused as to what Clay is up to with their games.
yeah, and that's that timer's a great timer.
Mm-hmm. It's a great
They've
time.
they've 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 only broken it one time,
Mm-hmm.
but that also puts you under stress, kind of thing. But you when they say that the next update's coming at X time, kind of thing, they
Mm-hmm.
don't tell you what's coming in that at X time. They tell you when it's coming, not what. Meaning, if everything's not ready that they plan to do, they don't ship everything. They ship what they have done
Mm-hmm.
at that
Oop,
specific time. Oh, your camera's gone nuts.
there we go.
Instead of, and they don't ship broken stuff and they don't delay it because, certain things are not ready, because they promise this, and this kind of thing. They're not promising you 500 things. They're promising you a time, nothing
Mm-hmm.
more. That
Yep.
time could deliver one thing, it could deliver 5,000 things, it could deliver three things.
Yeah, and as a developer, you don't want to be saying on September 5th, 2023, we will have our entire multiplayer system done, our entire economy system done, chat done, and it will all be working perfectly day one. You don't want to be that specific because game development is not an exact science. And yeah, exactly, Alberto. And to Pony's
Mhm.
point, yeah, you don't want announcements to announcements. That's always that very weird thing. And it is better, again, information is better than nothing. That is, again, that major point. If something has gone wrong, it's better to tell people that there's a problem rather than them having them guess that there's something wrong.
Yeah. Although I think announcements in one way, one sense, actually
Mm-hmm.
does work well. And that's when you're in the self marketing phase of your game,
Mm-hmm.
and then you announce a YouTube video, and then on that YouTube video, there's a devlog or something like that for your game. That is an announcement of an announcement kind of thing. But it's a way that soft marketing can reach potentially farther through Twitter kind of thing, because you definitely don't want to post your game up on Twitter in the early stages. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
to, that's hard marketing. You want to wait to the hard marketing phase for that. But you can do the sort of announcement of announcements kind of thing by directing them from your Twitter to your YouTube channel, and then have your YouTube channel direct them to your game kind of
Yeah.
thing. And to El Gordo's point about your main platform should be the one that brings you money, Not necessarily, because you know, Steam, the community on Steam is not the best community. Nor can you communicate the best or anything like that. The you know the best community really right now is Discord kind of thing. And while it your game isn't for sale on Discord kind of thing, Discord we I said this before that Discord could be better than your wish list. So like you could get more money from having people on Discord than you could from having people wish list on Steam. And mind you that the people wish listing on Steam is not where not the people necessarily who's talking to you on the community forums and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people on the community forums could have never wish listed. They could wish list too, but you just don't know. It's not like, when you're doing dates and everything, it depends on where you have it, where you want to put it. Because like if Clay did a really well job and put it in their game, but that would be if your game is already up and available kind of thing. You can't do that if not.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, your dates, if your game is not available, then your dates hold very little consequence at all. And when I say very little consequence, I mean consequence to the consumer, not consequences to you. If you're wrong, people are going to definitely call you out on it. Mm-hmm. Which is the reason why you probably shouldn't do very much date-wise until your game is actually released.
And I would also interject here and say that if something does come up that is going to delay it or cause trouble, you need to inform your community of it. Because it's better for them to know that there's a potential problem versus you going completely silent. That day and time passes and nothing happens.
Yeah.
But I think with that, I think we can probably wrap things up here. And again, ultimately, if you can't, don't, or aren't willing to do this, hire somebody to do it. And when we say hire, we don't mean just pull a fan to become your community manager. We mean hire somebody who has the skills, has that know-how to do this for you. Because
community management is not something, I wouldn't say it's something that not everybody can do. I mean, I think anybody could technically do it if they put their skills forth and they learned it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that would be definitely on the harder side for introverted people. Yep. And, I'm like that, Josh is that, but we do it. Yeah. We're able to do it despite being introverted. But being introverted makes it harder on me and Josh, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, but like, you also have to have the knowledge because, so you have to go out and learn a lot of things, when dealing with the community. But it's something anybody can technically do. But unless they're skilled and mentally ready to do it, you need to get somebody who is. You need to be sure that you have somebody that has the knowledge, the skill, and the mental fortitude to go through it with it when you need it, which would be right now, basically,
Yeah.
Anything else we have to close?
Other than, again, community management skills are worth their weight in gold just as much as having somebody who really understands how to play test a game, as someone who can do amazing art, as a great programmer, as a great designer. These are all
Marketer.
Yep, these are all skills, and I think this is a kind of how we can. I think this is a good way to close this entire series. Oh, you are very much like Chris this time, but this is again everything that we've talked about over these last 6 parts. These are all elements that need to come together to give your game the best possible chance of success. You can't do 1 or 2 of these. You can't ignore them. These are all aspects that we see in the success of studios. And
which is the reason why we've said so many times that solo development is a complete trap. It's something nobody has ever legitimately pulled off. I mean, there's a lot of people who claim to pull it off, but there's nobody who's legitimately pulled it off. There's been people who come close.
Every single thing.
You have to do PR, and you have to do it right. You know, which includes marketing. You have to do community management, and you have to do it right. You have to do art, and you have to do it right. You have to do
design,
programming. You have to do it right. You have to do game design. You have to do it right. You have to do writing. You have to do it right. You have to do all these different aspects, you know, sound, music, you know, all of them have to be done, and they have to be done right. And there's nobody on the face of this planet that has been able to date, been able to do all of them right at the same time on the same game and release it, and it have been a successful game.
Yep.
There have been several people, well, a few people who have done a lot of those things and done them right and then released a successful game, you know, like Concerned Ape, you know, the developer behind Stardew Valley. He, as far as I'm aware of, he did the art, programming, sound, music. He did, but he did not do the PR. He did not do the community management. He did not do the marketing. He did not do store pages. You know, there's a lot of things that he did not do. And if you're a solo developer looking at him and being like, oh, well, he did everything, and these 4 other things over here are not important, guess what? You released a game that wasn't successful. You just wasted 2, 3, 4, 5 years of your time.
Yeah.
And your game probably isn't going to get a second chance. So you just ruined everything. You know, like you know, and a lot of people hold him up as the one solo guy to look up to kind of thing. And he's not solo.
Yeah. And again, like the grayer topic, what we said, I think, part 2 about being able to understand and study why games succeed and fail. All of this stuff are the reasons why games succeed and fail. Because a lot of developers, again, they look at a title and they think, oh, they just released a game, you know, they worked on it for 2 years, whatever, and it massively succeed. I can do that, right? But there are so many things that go on behind the scenes that you don't consider, you don't think about until you're actually trying to do them. Again, with Red Hook Games in the Darkest Dungeon, they were building a community 6 months to a year before they even had a Kickstarter. They were getting people excited about that game. And to a lot of people, and I'm sure to a lot of developers who look at the Darkest Dungeon, all they saw was Darkest Dungeon bestseller on Steam. And that's all they understood about why this game was a success.
Yeah, and that was not why it was a success at all. Probably Chris. But the key part of this is that solo development is not how you do. That's not how you succeed at game development. You know, that's how you fail at game development, essentially, because there's nobody out there that can do everything and do it right. I mean, there are some people out there who can do everything, and they do a damn piss poor job at several of the things, and then release it, and then they wonder why they're game out kind of thing. And it's one of those things where basically the way to think about it is like you need to create an all-star team of people to make your game. Like if we're talking about like schooling, you need to hire, you don't want to hire students. You don't want to hire the students that don't know what they're doing kind of thing. You want to hire, the best art teacher in the school. You want to hire the best math teacher in the school. You want to hire the best English teacher at the school. And, the English would be your writer, the math would be your programmer, and the art teacher would be your artist, and you want, because if you do not have really good or top tier in every category of a game, then your failure is very likely. Even if you just miss one thing, How many times have Josh and I looked at a trailer and it's like, it's a good trailer, but the music just completely ruins the entire thing, Like the music just did not fit at all, This could have been an A+ trailer, but this music makes it C at best, kind of thing. Like just one thing not being on point can completely wreck everything. So you can't be like, well, I'm a really good programmer, a half-assed artist, and I'm
people won't
various
care about
things
the
and
art.
other things, and then make a game solo and expect it to sell. That's not going to work. You need very good to top notch in everything. And when I say very good, I mean better than if you're making a retro game, for example. You need somebody who can make art better than the best retro art that existed in the original consoles. Like if you're making a retro NES game, SNES game, you need somebody who can make art that is better than Final Fantasy VI. If it's not better than Final Fantasy VI art, it's not good enough.
Yep. But I think with that, let's wrap things up for this week's show. So for next week, I think we're talking about maybe doing a topic about progression systems and games. And then we'll see.
We're still working on that. We still have to work that out.
Yeah.
But hopefully.
Yeah. And for those of you watching this live or recorded, if you have any suggestions for topics for future shows, please let us know. If you're watching this recorded and want to catch it live, we do it Sundays at 4 p.m. ET. And if you want to watch our show in the increase, that is Mondays at 4 ET on our respective channels.
I do want to throw one more point in here. Now, when I talked about solo development, solo development is good for a couple of things. It is good for learning. It's good for hobby projects, and is good to just play around. I'm not saying don't do solo development. I'm saying don't do solo development commercial products that money's going to get involved in any kind of way. If money's involved in any kind of way, whether it's ads or anything else, do not go solo. And make sure you hit this. Make sure you lick the smash button and smash the like button on both Josh's channel and my channel, which is currently at 58 subscribers, where Josh has almost 8,000. So 7,000 of you plus need to come over and hit lick the smash button on my channel. Links to both my channel and Josh's channel is in the links of mine and Josh's video. You can also join both of our Discords. You can join my Discord and come and play Neon Continuum and experience it once a month. And be involved in our community, my community, and you can go and be involved in Josh's community, where they talk about games and everything else. and game development as a whole, as well as over our mind. But, come and be part of the communities that we manage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think with that, we'll end things here. As always, come back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where it's on the art and science of games. And until next week's show, have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.
Yeah.